My name is Wanda Raimundi-Ortiz, and I am a 2024 artist resident at the Sam and Adele Golden Foundation for the Arts. I'm interested in issues of Latinidad, life as an other in the United States, and examining those works through interdisciplinary means, drawing, performance, and basically I choose the medium that fits the idea. My culture is a huge part of my life. I think the big part of my overall practice is the push and pull between these two identities, these multiple intersections, which are Puerto Rican, artist, educator, transmitter, like a conduit, and a storyteller. I lead with my identity always. I'm extremely proud of who I am. The early works came from a place of anger, from a place of injustice, from a place of wanting to recalibrate. But now the work is simply around knowing. There's a lot of humility, willing to accept that you don't know all the things you think you know. I've been thinking a lot about the landscape of Puerto Rico, which is where my mother comes from, and this is what the place that I call in my heart is my heart home, right? My happy place. To learn the curves of the landscape through my hands, so that then I can hand that down in a more authentic way. And to be able for me to get that ownership is to learn by drawing or mark making. A tree of that magnitude and something of that kind of personal impact requires a piece that's going to have impact, that's going to have presence and take up space. And so you kind of work large, take up a lot of space, because if you play to scale, when you are part of a community that is kind of under-recognized, you're not going to be seen. The notion of taking up space and working big murals, 50-footers, 30-footers, like that's really like where I shine. I feel very powerful there. To work with this pigment that's so silky and soft that can easily be smudged back, I think speaks to the precariousness and the delicate nature of the community. I'm very grateful to the folks at Legion who partnered with this particular cohort to provide large paper so that I could practice the way I like to practice. I needed the time to really practice without the pressure of the thing that I always, my fallback, my go-to, my comfort zone, my happy place. Now I'm working with these metallics, the soot, the grime of the city, the romance of the environment, nostalgia. These are all things that play a prominent role in my practice. What ended up happening inadvertently is there's been a bridge between the metallics in the drawings and the metallics in the sculptures. And that was a big separation between the works, and I didn't think that people could make the natural leap from the trees and the sculptures to the trees that are showing up on the paper. I think the biggest and most rewarding moment here is that I now see the connection. I've been reminded of what it feels like to play. I've got a good 20 to 25 years of professional working time under my belt, and I think you get into a groove. I recognize the resistance, and then I said, let go. I choose art because I feel so much. It needs a place to go. I get really excited when I see something beautiful, like the sky, flowers, a beautiful path, a beautiful person, a delicious meal. I feel like I have this ability to translate what I feel in a way that's visible, and I can share it. That's like making magic. I have to do it.
My name is Ernest Shaw, and I am a 2024 artist resident at the Sam and Adele Golden Foundation for the Arts. After attending multiple sessions here at Golden, learning about different gels, different mediums, it's assisted me in a decade-long journey of trying to become more abstract, a little looser and freer in my work. So this series is a byproduct of some time I spent in therapy for the first time, and my experience as a public school and adjunct professor for over 20 years. This series is highlighting the lost art of cursive writing, called How Children See Cursive. And it goes into some of the inequities in education, but it also talks a lot about language, but in an attempt to develop new verbal language, written language, and also a new visual aesthetic as well. So the image in the center has formerly been attributed to the Bakota people, of Central Africa, a pre-colonial civilization of people which still is in existence. And these Kota reliquary figures are used as a way to remember and honor one's ancestors, and also to physically bring those ancestors with you. I use the African iconography, I use the masks sort of to remind not just Black folk, but to remind folk that we have a past that goes far beyond 1492. We have a rich history and past. I like to, in my work, use certain phrases or parts of lyrics from hip-hop songs. So this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite MC, is Rakim. The title of this piece is I Was a Fiend, and it's from his Microphone Fiend piece. And he says, I was a fiend before I became a teen. He's talking about how he fell in love with hip hop and rap. James Baldwin, he's one of my heroes. Normally when I do a residency, I like to do at least one piece dedicated to the life and work of James Baldwin for two reasons. One, because of the contribution that he's made to the literary world, to the artistic world, but also as a portrait, structurally, his face has so much character. So many peaks and valleys. I'm doing a series in Baltimore specifically of individuals who make their living at the crossroads, corners, intersections. People who squeegee, what we might call panhandle. But those individuals on a daily basis provide motorists with an opportunity to exhibit their humanity by being humane toward those people at the crossroads. Part of my educational philosophy as an art instructor, teacher, professor, is to turn the classroom into an actual studio. So it's not necessarily a classroom from an educational perspective. It's a studio with shared space between someone who's lived a little longer, and I work alongside my students. The wealth of resources that you have literally at your fingertips, the freedom to explore, the freedom to not necessarily have to create something for exhibition purposes. It's really allowed me to become more free relative to creating work.
My name is JD Raenbeau, and I am a 2024 artist in resident at the Sam and Adele Golden Foundation for the Arts. What inspires me is my home, my garden, my partner, our connection that we feel toward the land we live on. The work is about this connection we have with this space. These images, these paintings are all taken in our garden. A lot of native plants, so we have like a rudbeckia, which is a black-eyed Susan. We have an echinacea. Not only depicting the flowers in full bloom, but really thinking about the beginning stages of this life cycle and then like your ending stages. I met my husband when I was 18. We've been together 15 years. Even though it was messy because we were young, meeting somebody that I felt really deeply connected with, lots of walls in myself came down, and that was because of him. And me finding and navigating myself, and kind of like full circle coming back to the self of me that was really small, doing cartwheels and like twirling around. A bright friggin' flame to holding it all in. And I think that evolution, feeling comfortable, has allowed me to feel free. Thinking about our queer relationship in conjunction with art history is something I've always thought about. So a lot of times I reference Fragonard and his depictions of straight lovers in nature and this very like formal courtship, and contrasting that with just a wild, free kind of natural love. And it can be queer, it can be anything. And thinking now more currently about using Paul Cadmus, Margaret French, and Jared French, and thinking about my connection to them in terms of community and their place in queer culture. I found out before I got here that I was going to be able to work with custom fluorescent oil paint made by Golden, made for me. It felt like a dream, honestly. Like I was like, wait, what? So I've been obsessively using them. I love to go close to paintings and look at how an image is constructed in terms of layer, paint, opacity. And I really hope that people come up look closely and like see all the little marks. I think the space informed me a lot, but also the people. The other two artists, seeing how they operate and how they work in terms of their practice is inspiring. For example, Wanda is not afraid to try anything, and she's taken this insane approach to everything she's done. And I admire that because it's not something that I naturally do. And watching Ernest push the figuration into more abstraction has also been inspiring. So that's kind of like fueling me a little even more to take more risks. I definitely want to continue experimenting, and I have to keep telling myself to do that because I'll quickly root into the comfort and not the risk. I just have a lot of appreciation for everything that's happening here. Everyone here has made me feel really special, and that feels really, really good. And the connections I've made with the people here and the space, the physical space is amazing.